takes a look at the latest official employment figures, saying the number of foreign-born workers rose by almost 450,000 in a year to just over 5.5 million. And the Metro leads with the fresh attack by Donald Trump on US intelligence agencies for reportedly leaking details of discussions between his team and Russia. We're going to start with President Trump. Helen, front page of the Financial Times. Trump accuses US intelligence service of criminal push to undermine him.
So this is today's episode of this ongoing soap opera that we're all going to have to get used to, isn't it? And this is going to be a running plot line, this one, because since before the election, there have been, very serious worries, including the intelligence community, both the American intelligence community and elsewhere, that President Trump's liking for Vladimir Putin is puzzling, to say the least. He criticises everybody, but he never criticised Putin. And the people in the intelligence community have been briefing against him. So his national security advisor has had to step down because it appears that he has had unauthorised, or if they were authorised, it's extraordinary, contacts with Russian intelligence agents. And now, of course, President Trump doesn't really like that people are leaking, although before the election he rather liked it when it was against Hillary Clinton. I think one extraordinary thing about this story is that in a tiny little corner on the front of the FT, we have Trump backs off two-state solution. Any other day, this would be enormous news. My goodness, an American president says he's not sure that Israel should aim for a two-state solution, and it's got like 4 little lines on the front page because we have this ongoing soap opera.
It's quite incredible, isn't it, Josie? But having said all that, it is a bit out of order. Your intelligence services leaking private documents. I mean, what would happen if Theresa May found out tomorrow morning that MI5 and MI6 are leaking all kinds of stuff? You can't function that way, can you?
No, and I suppose in any other situation, this would be just an unbelievably remarkable story. But in the context of what we've seen so far from the Trump administration and the whole narrative that's unfolding, that it's not actually that. It's not as surprising as it perhaps should be. Equally, his reaction, the way that he's talking, the words that he's using, the aggressive tone that he's using in accusing the intelligence services of doing this is not unusual for him either. I mean, he's fired similar shots at the media. He's fired similar shots at the Obama administration, at Clinton. This is all becoming very routine.
Yeah, I mean, Helen, you made the point, though, didn't you, that he's trying to have it both ways. As a campaigner, when he wanted to, when he was running for the White House, he hadn't got the job yet, he was happy for the Secret Service to leak against his opponent. You cannot have it both ways. Is he stupid or what?
I think he's a man with a special approach to what we might call consistency. I'm trying to be careful with what I say here. I mean, the most extraordinary thing he said before the election was he actually, do you remember, he live invited Putin to hack into and release Hillary Clinton's private documents. The man who said, please, come on, give us more of them.
That's right. He asked the Russians to hack to get information on Hillary Clinton. So how can he talk like this now?
No,
I just don't understand
the point
this.
is, I feel it's all bets are off at this point. I mean, really, the Republicans should be the ones, they're in control of Congress. They're the ones who should be saying, we need to investigate this. There are credible stories about links between the Trump administration and the Russians. But they're not. So that's the point at which we have intelligence agents leaking stuff because they're trying to get it out into the public domain. I'm not saying it's right, but that's why they're doing it.
All right. OK, Financial Times as well, Josie. Demand for price discount puts nuclear plants' viability in doubt.
Yes, that's right. And this looks like it's yet another bad story in a week of bad stories for the nuclear power industry in the UK. Obviously, earlier this week we had some very, very poor results out from Toshiba, the big Japanese conglomerate, which actually owns a large stake in a company which is meant to be developing a nuclear power plant up in Cumbria. So that basically called that whole development into question. And now we've got this story around funding. Government officials have apparently indicated that future nuclear projects will be expected to deliver a discount of at least 15 to 20% on the price of electricity, which is absolutely massive and will deal a real blow to any kind of revenue that they can generate in order to pay off those huge projects. Yeah,
Helen, this all seems a bit of a shame if you're into nuclear power, because even the Green lobby believe that it's the way forward because it means you're not burning fossil fuels. The problems potentially that there might be of leakages and so on and so forth seem to have been dealt with by and large, unless you live in Japan and you have a tsunami and that kind of thing. We know the problems at Fukushima. So the fact that cost is now potentially the problem. Seems like a massive shame.
Well, you don't want to be overpaying for your electricity, and we're really on the cusp of having other sorts of renewable energy much cheaper. I mean,
That's true.
Yeah. So would you want to spend billions on a whole load of nuclear plants if you could be getting solar in just a few years, and have batteries and have wind? So
absolutely, which is what the Green Lobby is saying, which is what
and I mean, it's starting to look like it's really a possibility.
Sure, absolutely. All right, okay, on to the Daily Telegraph then. Helen, the laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Or is that lots of love, according to David? Or David Cameron think of that?
Yeah, bless him, that's what he thought of me. I have to admit, I used to think that too.
You know what, so did I.
Yeah, I think we all did, didn't we?
I think, frankly, we all did, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the laughing airport assassin, not a laughing story, laughing matter, it has to be said. This is one of the suspects in the death of the brother-in-law of Kim Jong-il.
Yes. So this is in Malaysia. This is in the Kuala Lumpur airport.
Kim Jong-un, I do apologise. Kim Jong-il is
indeed
passed away a long time
so
ago.
apparently he's been a target. The South Korean security services have believed that he was a target of a North Korean assassination plots for some years. He believed that he was going to be attacked because he had said rude things about
Normally has
the North.
Chinese bodyguards apparently with him.
Yeah, and well, anyway, they seem to have injected him with poison in the airport and attempted to get the body back before there was an autopsy. And this is a mysterious state where terrible things happen, and then these things sort of erupt into our consciousness. I don't know what to tell you about it. I don't know what this man did. I don't know, who these people are. I don't know how they got in. I don't know how they got out. And all we've got is this sort of mysterious picture that's caught the imagination, I guess, because of this T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some sort of Shakespearean
It's Cold War
thing, isn't it?
It's a sort of Cold War feeling, isn't it?
Cold War, yeah, Josie.
Spy.
Basically, if you're related to Kim Jong-un, wherever you are in the world, watch out.
Watch out
he was watching out
for jumpers that say LOL on, I'd say. Yeah.
You could put it that way. Josie, Daily Telegraph as well. Church of England, a step closer to gay marriages in church. Interesting story. 3-year study by the bishops from the Church of England found that essentially the church should still not approve of gay marriage.
Yeah, that's right. So they put together this report that, as you say, it was sort of a status quo, that they still believed that the marriage should not approve of same-sex marriages, but that they should have a more welcoming attitude, apparently, towards same-sex marriages. Now, the motion was actually rejected, so that means that for the time being, we're going to stick with the status quo.
Right.
It seems like they haven't really created any change or furthered any cause particularly at the moment, but it's perhaps encouraging to see that there is motion in the debate around this subject.
I think they were trying to balance between two very much opposing sides, like say marriage is between a man and a woman, but we must be nice to same-sex couples, and that seems not to have.
They were trying to be mealy-mouthed and have their cake
and that seems not to have worked.
Exactly.
So that's where we are.
And interesting is the House of Clergy of the three bodies, the bishops, the laity, and the clergy. It was the House of Clergy.
Yes.
So your ordinary rank and file vicar, bishop, whatever, vicar, who voted to reject this report.
But they're the ones who have to deal with it.
Exactly. They're the ones dealing with parishioners every Sunday or whenever, saying, I'm gay, I want to be in the church, yet I am being rejected. So, yes, the idea is that at some point, some way down the line, perhaps the church is moving closer to officially sanctioning gay marriages. We got the Mail, Madness of New Business Race. We did that yesterday, actually. So let's go to the Times. US delivers ultimatum on NATO spending. This is an interesting story because I, for one, Helen, cannot understand why a country like Germany, right, fifth biggest economy in the world, doesn't pay its way. What's that about?
Well, they said they would, didn't they? I mean, anyone who's part of NATO, it's one of the NATO agreements is that you spend 2% of GDP on defence. And it's not just about what you spend, it's about what you spend it on. It's that you spend on modernisation, it's that your troops can interoperate with each other and so on. Only 5 of the NATO countries, Britain is one of them, the US is another, actually spend that 2% of GDP. And I won't often say this, but I mean, that headline, Trump sends a stark warning to NATO allies, he's right.
You agree with it?
I agree with it. Now, I'm now going to say he has said so many different things about NATO, and some of them terribly worrying. This is a man who wasn't willing to affirm the long-standing commitment, which is another of NATO's central commitments, that if an attack on one is an attack on all. He was asked what he would do if one of the other NATO allies...
He rejected Article 5.
And he refused to confirm Article 5. So I agreed for about 1 second there with something that he said.
Oh, Helen, you know you love President Trump. You know you do. You know you do. But Josie, I mean, I don't quite understand how if you're a member of this alliance, you're not willing to pay for the privilege.
Well, I suppose they haven't for such a long time, so
they just keep thinking they can get away with it.
There's also budgets, it's home budgets, you know, and I mean, spending on defence is one of those things that looks like spending on foreign aid. You know, you say, oh, I want to spend on schools, I want to spend on pensions.
Yeah, if you've got some poor coal miner in West Virginia paying for it, that's absolutely fine.
And we've all felt so safe for a long time, you know. And
because some poor coal miner in West Virginia is paying for it.
Yeah, maybe, but also just because the world was a nicer place a year ago, 5 years ago. Now it all looks much scarier.
Right, so you think they're going to start stumping up?
I do. I really think that people are on there, have been given their marching orders, yeah.
Right, OK. So you approve of Trump's policy then, getting tough with the Germans and the Spanish?
I don't know that it's Trump's policy as such, and I don't approve of undermining
You're not willing to go that
what NATO is about.
You're not willing to go that
It does
far.
look like a lot of the thrust from this seems to be coming from his defence secretary, actually.
Yes,
indeed,
So,
right, OK.
And I mean, NATO itself has been saying this for a long time.
Well, that's very, very true, and every president for the last 4 or 5 administrations
yes,
too.
absolutely.
OK, the Times as well. Britain receives final warning on shameful air pollution levels, Josie.
That's right, yes, another very topical story, though it does feel like we've been here before as well on this one. It seems like air pollution is sort of one of those things that keeps coming up, and it's something that's going to keep coming up in the lead up to Brexit as well, I think, because especially EU regulation and to what extent we in the City of London can benefit from that. I don't know really if this furthers the cause at all in terms of the latest.
Well, what do you think Brexiteers will think of this? Because this potentially now could go to the European Court of Justice, but you'd think Brexiteers would want a clean air as well. I suppose they just don't want it to be legislated by them over there rather than us here.
Yeah, I mean, the central problem for this particular aspect of air pollution, I think, is diesel cars. So there are incentives, there are actually environmental incentives to get diesel cars because they're lower carbon. But they produce these little bits that go deep into your lungs. So Josie runs and I cycle, and we were both saying that we've noticed it recently, and you see more and more cyclists with masks.
And I drive a huge, great diesel car.
Thanks.
That was a joke. That wasn't true. That wasn't true. But yeah, I mean, this will feed quite nicely into the Brexit debate. No question about that.
It shouldn't be, though. It should just be about us being healthy.
Indeed. Helen, Josie, thank you so much for looking at some of the stories behind the headlines. Many, many thanks for that. That's it for the papers tonight. Don't forget, you can see the front pages of all of them online on the BBC News website. It's there for you 7 days a week at bbc.co.uk/papers. If you missed a programme, you can always watch it on iPlayer. So thanks again to Josie and to Helen, and to you for watching. Bye-bye.